So,
Recorded.
yeah, okay, anyway,
And-
we'll see if you come, okay? We'll see you when you get here. Oh, okay, that's what Don said. Okay, we're here. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, we'll get started with public comment. Comments from members of the public. If you just come up to the microphone.
Hello, my name's Ed DeFreitas. I live off of Cactus Farm Road in Quarters Cove, and I came by because I was wondering what was happening with the fiber optic cable. Looks like they're laying on Cactus Farm Road. It looks like it's stopping short of a lot of the residents on that road, and I wanted to encourage the commission to not forget about us.
Yep, we're not
Thank
going to
you.
forget about you at all. Yeah, Bill Lee had contacted us and told us about it, and I've spoken to one family down there, and that's a breeze line that has gone in. It's gone and stopped there. They stopped there where you saw yellow or orange, I don't know what color the flags are that were done, because they're on the VATI grant that we won last year, and that they're doing, X number of homes throughout the county. About 2 years ago now, there was something called RDOF. It's an auction. Only the government 2 years ago could have thought of this. They put up lands across the country, not just Virginia, that they would let companies bid on, and if they wanted to put internet out there. They decided how to divide each area. They divided that without us knowing. They divided, and that area, for whatever reason, stopped where Breeze Line has stopped. The VATI grant only allows them to go to where they stopped, and they'll finish the whole thing. But they can only go that far because they can't use VATI funds for something that wasn't in the VATI grant. And the reason it's not in the VATI grant is because another company won that. So we're looking at who won it. That's what we're going to contact and say, are you going to do this? Because you're right, there are a number of homes out there, and it doesn't make sense to stop in the middle of the road. And as soon as we can get information on that, we will get back to you. And so Breeze Line knows that we're looking at this too, and they said, just let them know. But we'll go and find out who's got it and what their intention is about the rest of that and the time that they would be coming in to do it. Because at this point, I can't tell you they'll be there next month, next year. They have a number of years before they have to do this. But they do have to do it or forfeit the right. So we'll keep you in the loop. I have the telephone number of the couple that called me. And so I'll keep them apprised, and we'll get something out to you as we hear more. But that's where it is.
Fascinating. So that neighborhood is divided, like two different companies have the rights to. For those to hear, you got to use
Oh, I'm sorry,
this.
yeah.
So that our neighborhood is divided because two different companies have the rights to put in the
Exactly.
broadband. That's
Exactly.
fascinating. I wonder what genius looked at that. I mean, it's an old
He wasn't
Cactus
sober when
Farm
he
Road.
did it.
Well, no, it was really done. They looked at who was covered and who was not. Meanwhile, this proposal was submitted. The federal RDOF, the problem is mapping is not consistent on who's served and who is not served when you look at federal, state, and even local mapping. And so, according to the FCC mapping, which is where RDOF comes from, that auction, okay, they have their data, and their data, if they had known that you were unserved, that would have also been an RDOF, and that also would not have been allowed for Breeze Line to do it. However, Breeze Line, with Virginia data, found that your area was unserved. So they are serving that on the we should be very clear. We have a couple of VATI grants now. We have a 2021, which was done with Breeze Line / ABB, and that's what the building you can see construction now. They need to be done by roughly the end of 2020, this year, 2022. There's another VATI grant, which All Points Broadband / Dominion / some financial people, there's several people in that consortium. And they have to be done, because they also want VATI grant on top of their RDOF, because the Virginia laws changed from 2021 to 2022. So they are doing the other areas in that area. So you will be covered, it's just not going to be the same timing.
I see. And that means that another company would have to do that whole thing again.
There's going to be duplication, yes.
Yeah, fascinating. Okay, thank you.
We'll keep you in the loop as we get ideas, we'll let you know. Oh, well, I have one phone number of somebody who's at the point of where it stopped. They're not covered. It stopped with
yeah.
them. But you have on our website contact information.
That's where you need to really go.
You have contact information there. And we'll put information up on the website, and you can always send emails to us. Our addresses are on the website. But as we find out, we can see. If you have internet, you can go on there and get your comments out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be, as we know more, we'll put them on the website.
The other thing, if you're not being served by BreezeLine, you need to go on the website. There is a link to All Points Broadband. You need to go fill out that information so they know that you want internet and are bringing it. It's an important piece to fill out. That's also on our website.
I did that, was it newspaper article about it with the.
Okay, so you signed up with them.
With the web address, and I did that. And I even called All Points last week and talked to them, and they said we have no plans for my particular address.
Oh, on BreezeLine.
No, it's
All
all
Points.
points.
All Points said they had no,
No plans for that.
In fact, she even, the rep called me back after she checked into it and said that.
that surprises me because they're
But,
claiming
I
they're
mean,
going
they
to
may
do it.
not, you know how that works.
Okay. But they should be confirming, you send it in, and that they're going to build out your address. Wally and Chuck, you've confirmed with All Points Broadband, correct?
I have at times, and at other times I cannot.
Okay.
If you remember, when he made his presentation, he took my information.
Right.
They called me back the next day and confirmed our area was covered.
Okay,
That was
Okay.
pretty far.
yeah,
Right.
good. All right, but we'll keep any updates on the website.
And I think that sometimes when we discuss this, we're so familiar with what's happened in the past and the reasons why it's stuff that it might sound confusing to you. And so I'm wondering, do you understand what we've told you, or do you need any clarification?
No, I understand.
Okay.
So much
It
fun.
sounds like the problem was poor mapping a couple of years ago when they first started.
Who was served and who was not served, correct?
rural broadband.
And the government has admitted that the mapping has not been the
In
greatest.
fact, I think I even read an editorial about it in the Wall Street Journal.
I'm sure you have.
Okay, but we'll keep you, as soon as we get more information, we'll put it out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not gonna stand up because I'm saying the same thing. I'm a neighbor.
All right, but anyway, we'll put it up as soon as we get information. And thank you. Keep putting it out there. Keep putting it out there. Any other comments, questions?
And I'd just add that Gary has been working very hard to identify any homes like yours that are still going to be unserved. They're kind of like fallen through the cracks, for lack of a better, description. And he's been working really hard to identify those, and we are going to work towards finding, to make sure that you have service.
Yeah.
And that's-
Fortunately, that area is okay.
Yeah.
We have about 84 homes that are off the list, but
Yeah, I'm sorry?
we have about 84 homes due to complications from this issue of RDOF that fell through the cracks. and we're trying to figure out how to fund to get those 84 served. Okay, so it's just going to take a little longer.
But this will probably be a project that'll run through this year to serve wherever the cable goes down. And what we should anticipate is be something significant beyond that before anything happens for us, right?
What we understand right now, because we don't have a schedule, is but based on the VATI rules, the 2022, they must be what they call substantially complete by the end of 2023. This is the All Points Broadband Dominion, that group. Substantially means if there's some unusual circumstance. In other words, if you're going over water, that's not a typical build. But for most of or railroad tracks or anything of that nature. Fortunately, we have no railroad in our county, and to my knowledge, very few homes that will go over water. I think there might be some across from the park where I've seen
Belle Isle.
overhead. Belle Isle.
Isle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where I
have
see
some.
the wires going over some water. But other than that, I'm not aware of anything else in the county that falls under that category.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, that ends the public session.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, thanks for your hard work.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for coming.
Which way are you going?
That door may be locked. Yeah, the glass door on either side, you can get out.
What was, is that a?
So Glenn, were you able to put up the file? So my name is Wally Dawson. I'm, at your last meeting, we talked a fair amount about the smart poles and the lack of data. So I decided to bring some with me. So I have 4 that I drive by almost every day, and I periodically stopped as well as Chuck. And I measured the situation, so you can see here, the one at the YMCA or the free health clinic, depending on how you want to look at it,
VQL.
or alternatively, the town of Kilmarnock parking lot, the Boys and Girls Club, and the Lancaster Courthouse. You can see the dates that we were there and the time of day, and you can see the upload and download speed. So let me decipher the chart for you. NS and not available mean the same thing. NS means no service, and not available means if you use your cell phone and you look at the Wi-Fi networks you can connect to by looking at available networks, it means it doesn't show up as an available network. Could you go to the next slide, please? So without deciphering that, everything in red is not working, and the one in yellow works at a speed that you would not say, nor would I say, meets the regular expectation of Wi-Fi speeds. So red is bad, yellow is not as bad. And that's the bottom line of these 4. That's not a scientific sample. It wasn't done at the same time every day. It wasn't done at every possible site in the entire county. But for these sites, that's the data that we have. You have much more data available to you. So I finally, out of frustration, decided I'd follow your sign. Would you go to the next slide, please? So here's the sign you'll recognize that goes at every site. So I dialed the issue's contact number. It's a non-working telephone number.
We turned it off.
No, they did not.
They didn't.
No. So I don't know who you meant for that to go to, but I assume it was BTS.
Yeah.
If you look at the sign closely, the number up there is what? 804-800-7220. that has all the digits of BTS's number, but not in the right order. So here's the number it should be, 804-800-7220. Down,
7720.
no, 720. You got one extra, you have no extra digits, you have all the right stuff, just in the wrong order.
Okay.
So, in the midst of all of that, I read with some interest last week's Lancaster record, and it attributed to Cassie the following statement. All of the fixed wireless smart poles are operational. Locations can be found at the landcoverbroadband.org website. I think there's a disconnect here somewhere. Clearly, on the date of that meeting, when that statement was made, it was not true at most of these sites. I have ones on the exact same date. It would be an astounding statistical issue for that two things to be reconciled. So there's a communications problem here somewhere. And frankly, there's a lack of attention to detail. Clearly, no one here has tested that number. So I don't know what to say out of frustration. I'm not here to stab you in the back or anything. I would just like to fix it. I would like for everybody, as the board has said before, to have the benefit of the bargain of that contract. I don't believe the county is getting it. And by other means, I know that BTS knows that some of these sites were not in service because they're waiting for batteries.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
They told me. I ran into one of their executives at a parking lot, and I said, what's going on with this site? He said, oh, well, we don't have a battery. We're waiting for batteries. So Cassie, I don't know, I'm not saying anybody's done anything wrong here, but somehow you are not getting the correct information.
I think if you listen to the report, more details will come out about the issue. It's not only a battery, it's the software, hardware.
I don't care.
Yeah, but
I don't care. It is now 15 months since this should have been working, more or less. You'd agree, right?
yeah,
It's not.
and as you know,
But yet, it is reported that it is. As reported by this organization, that it is. There's a disconnect, folks. I have nothing else to say. I'd be happy to help you in any way I can. I hope seeing another source of data will encourage you to go get the real data from the provider and present it. I don't know what else to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your attention to detail
Yeah.
and taking the time to go out and check those sites. Frankly, it hadn't occurred to me to go do that. We obtain reports from the company that then we rely on when we make these reports to the Board of Supervisors, and it really didn't dawn on me that there might be some kind of inconsistent information that they were giving us. So
Well, thank
we
you.
were definitely going to check into this, and we
Thank
thank
you.
you
Thank you
for
for saying that.
bringing this to our attention.
In that particular matter, I would recommend one thing, and that is you have the company come here and report the results. Get rid of the middle people and get to somebody who has access to the real data, and and I who would like to see it. That's my only management recommendation. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
Chuck?
Chuck Rusnak, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but August 15th of 2021, before this body, I submitted a request for this information. We were trying to find out who was responsible for the project, get data. We haven't accomplished that. September 8th, again, brought that before your attention and gave you a copy of our request. October, the same situation. Asked for the information, asked for the data, and we still don't have it. Now, I guess in fairness to the community, if this service is important for those people that don't have access to the internet, then we as a body and you as a group need to make sure that they get that service, because we spent $400,000 plus for the service. And I think it's time now to identify on the LCBA who is responsible for these projects. I still don't know. Thank you.
Okay. That ends. Anything, Glenn, online? Okay, that ends public comment. Michelle, for minutes?
Oh, yes, I submitted the draft meeting minutes to you, and then the revised ones based on your comments. And the last draft I sent yesterday, I think there was one thing missing on the smart poles.
Well, I sent
Cherie
my-
had sent the email out.
I sent my comments to you.
I got your comments.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
you included it in that,
Yeah.
that's right. And okay, got it. So they're all set with yours incorporated, the last one I sent yesterday.
Right.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes
Second.
from the April
Second.
14th meeting.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Oh, I heard that voice.
You might as well save your vote. We already got
Okay.
3 people here.
Save it. Never mind that.
All right, what's next? The updates.
I would say the update on the regional VADI project by Nicholas.
Nicholas, where are we now with Batty and Breeze Line? I'm sorry, I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay, so Breeze Line has been very active in Lancaster County. There's 22 areas that they are identified in their project plan for construction for new services. And of those 22, 15 are currently underway with some kind of activity in them. I just kind of give you some numbers, how fast they're moving along. There's approximately 155,000 feet of conduit that is placed under this new Valley grant. And of that 155,000 feet, there are just over 70,000 feet that's already been placed. So we're almost at the halfway point with the conduit, and that's probably the most tedious and time-consuming part of the project is placing the conduit. In that conduit, they've already placed 35,000 feet of new fiber. And although none of them has been turned up or lit for service they're anticipating still by the end of Q2 that the identified Teal Drive, Tyler Lane, and Boston Avenue as being in service, provided there's no holdups on procurement for critical parts, and they don't anticipate any right now. But they're also, behind that, they're looking at maybe another, hopefully an additional 5 or 6 locations right after that in early Q3. Aerial fiber, there is 95,000 feet of aerial fiber that needs to be placed. None of it has been placed yet, as they're waiting for permits from Dominion. They don't anticipate any roadblocks with that, and that's kind of a fast process, much faster than placing the conduit. So they're trying to get all the conduit out of the way, all the underground, kind of the hard stuff out of the way, then follow up with placing aerial fiber and fiber in the conduits. So we're moving along. We benefited from some issues they had in some of the other counties that are applied to Valley Grant. So they redeployed forces, workforces that were over some of the other counties over to Lancaster County. So we are ahead of schedule on construction schedule. So on the Breeze Line side, everything's looking very, very good so far, better than we anticipated. And I think that's all I have for for the Valley. Want to move on to BTS or APB, which is another Valley grant on top of the RDOF grant, which was kind of explained before. And that's All Points Broadband. We're still on schedule, nothing new really to report. We did send, I think Cherie sent back the fiscal arrangement with Northern Neck Plains District back to APB for review. So I think that's the only status report we really have on All Points Broadband, which is the Valley RDOF grant.
The only addition is we did request that APB comes to our next meeting either by Zoom or here. And I asked them for at least a quarterly schedule, at a minimum, so we can have a little better idea of when they're coming into the county.
Would that be Jimmy coming? Or
Tommy,
is that
Tom Ennis.
Tom is, okay. Tom.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anything else on APB? That's it for APB at this point?
That's it for APB right now.
All right. Now, Don, as long as he was mentioning the agreement, anything else? You heard what he said about where it is.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get that done sooner than later. So just wonder what the holdup is.
Well, we may have to just do a little phone call, Cherie, or email.
Yeah, I followed up on Monday or Tuesday and forwarded to Mr. Davis as well as to counsel for APB and the CEO. So if we don't hear anything by Monday, I'll just pick up the phone and call the counsel for APB. It's pretty straightforward, so it shouldn't take much of a leap on their part to help us get it finalized.
Okay.
All right. So it's in process, in train.
But the ball's in their court.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So that should take the heat
That's
off.
correct. The ball's in their court.
Well, I know that the payment, the $575,000 payment is due by July 31st. So,
They better have this agreement all sorted
I mean,
out.
we need that in place well before that July 31st deadline.
That's
We,
five.
we qualified when the payment would be due. We don't need to hash that out here, but I'll review that and shoot an email to the group as well as follow up with Mark again on Monday, Mark being counsel for APB.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cherie. All right, Nicholas, BTS.
Okay. Well, on the good news with BTS, they're up to 228 customers signed on to the fixed wireless program with the CARES Act, and that's an increase from 20 from last month. Regarding the smart poles, we were on a call with him earlier this week, and Gary does go out very frequently to check the poles, and we know we have 2 that are down because of their diagnosis. It's the batteries which are on order, and that's at the courthouse and downtown pole. Our frustration with BTS is the same, I think, as the public, is lack of data that they could get from the new equipment. Originally, this was done with wireless LTE equipment from T-Mobile, AT&T, and we tried every wireless carrier out there. We ran into problems with that service, and we had to switch over to a fixed wireless service, which BTS installed. They don't have a software platform, which we find shocking, that could give us the statistics of uptime, how much bandwidth they're pulling down, how many unique users are there, just general KPIs that any wireless platform uses. We gave them some even some freeware that I've used in the past that hopefully they will look into, and maybe it will apply to this particular situation. With the equipment they're using, I'm not sure if it will work or not, but we pointed them in that direction. So we're very frustrated with the lack of data. they report to us, and then Gary usually goes around and follows up, and a lot of times we'll find out that something that they reported is up, is down. So we're trying to be diligent and make sure that the data they give us is correct. But we really don't have the KPI, key performance indicator data that we should have, and that any provider should be able to provide. So it's frustrating on our end also. Doesn't make it any better for the public that is trying to use these devices. But it's not that that we're unaware of this. We are very aware of it, and we're trying to work to make this get this fixed. So my apologies for the public who goes out and has no gets no service when they're out there. But we are trying to get this remedied as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Nicholas, is it any, we switched to the fixed wireless because we thought that would be a more reliable service, right? And so is it now, it sounds like it might be less reliable than the Verizon service that we originally had?
No, I think it's not. I think actually, believe it or not, I think the fixed wireless service is more reliable for getting the internet signal to the site.
Okay.
There was a couple of the smart poles that had no service with wireless,
right,
because of reconfigurations in the wireless provider's network, and no matter who we changed to, it didn't help fix that problem. So we kind of changed. We changed the whole the internet delivery system by using the fixed wireless, and by doing that, they also had to change equipment on the poles, which used more power than the original LTE equipment. And I think that's the problem at the two poles at Courthouse and downtown, is that the power draw is too high for the batteries. So that's the reason why they're going to place new batteries in those poles. The software, which would give us the network management system type software that would give us the data that we all should have, is they don't have, and that we have to get some kind of platform, even get some rudimentary data, and even just uptime would be critical. How long is it? When's it up? When's it down? And timestamp that is something we should have. So once again, it should alarm BTS that something's down. They have to go out and fix it. Right now, they don't have that capability unless we physically go out there and test.
So do you think that these reports that they give to us, those simple reports saying these poles are operational, I mean, do they actually go out and check them before they give us the report, or are they just kind of winging it?
According to what they're telling us, they physically have to go to the pole to even get any kind of data from it. They actually have to, get a bucket truck, plug into. It's just hard to fathom that that's what they do, but apparently that's what they do. So I believe they're. I don't think they're out there the problem is I don't think they're testing the service. They're seeing if their service is up. Well, if their service is up, doesn't mean that the end user is getting the proper service. That's really kind of a method and procedure type issue here on not just give us the data from your system, but from your fixed wireless system, but also the end is a service available to the end user. And I don't think they're going out there with their wireless device and testing the actual output.
Oh, well, that seems like that would be
I'm
important to do before,
guessing.
one thing that, they say it's working from their signal, but if somebody can't use it, obviously doesn't make it operational, right?
Yeah.
So
Of
they
course,
need to add
and
that
that's
to
why
their,
Michelle, can I say something?
yeah,
I've been going around at least once a week to all the polls.
okay.
70-mile round trip, okay? And what happened in January, we switched over from the LTE to the fixed wireless. They all worked in January, okay? Then I started seeing problems, particularly with the courthouse and the Kilmarnock parking lot. And I would go back and talk to the BTS, and they'd get someone out there, and they got it working. There's some problem with the splash page. I'm not sure it's all battery, but it's the battery hardware/software package. And you know, so they're supposed to have something in a week. It's been back ordered. That's another problem right now, is getting some of the devices through the back ordering. So we've been going through that. Some of the polls are operating spectacular compared to the LTE. The Caratoman Baptist Church has never been as good as it has. Where's the pier? Thank you. Thomas Landing, again, they're actually getting signal versus no signal for most of the time. Beulah Baptist Church was at best 4 or 5 down and maybe a few tenths up until they went to the fixed wireless, and now they're essentially at 25.3 at this point. So there, as Nicholas pointed out, yes, it's working better, but this is not necessarily the signal, it's somewhere in the software. I don't know exactly where the problem is, but the interface to get the splash page is not working. And so that's a real problem. We emphasize that's a critical need, and we need to get that up and working. At our meeting this past week, we have now gone from monthly meetings to bi-monthly, or twice a month rather, to try and get this and push this to get this done. So it's something that we're working on. I understand where the confusion came, where everything was working well, because in January, that's the information, and you're right, old information gets reported, and that's where some confusion comes.
But you're going out there every week to
Yes.
check all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's quite diligent.
Yeah.
And thank you for that.
And I'm at each one, and I go when we're not getting the 25.3 minimum, I'm going back, complaining and saying, this is the problem. I mean, they're tired of seeing me or hearing me.
Right. So we're not simply relying on that BTS
No.
report?
No.
I didn't realize you were going out there once a week. That's
Yeah,
That's really
well,
great. Thank
except
you.
when I was in Mexico, I'm sorry.
I would have gone if
you.
you let me know. I'll go.
But
But I think, just to make certain, Michelle, that you heard Gary, as recent as Tuesday, we were on a call with BTS, and Gary and Nicholas outlined everything that wasn't working, wanted to know what the status of the battery issue is, when it's going to be corrected, and we're on this because there may be other solutions that BTS can't deliver, because the smart poles are good for the community and we'd like to see them working. So I think that's an important message for this meeting based upon earlier comments.
And Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Kilmarnock parking lot experienced a lightning strike.
yeah, that was the downhill of that one. That was probably, I don't know, 6-7 months ago. And that's the first time, all of them initially were fitted out with Ubiquity equipment as the interface, and then a cradle point on top of that. So knock that out. I suspect there's more than just knocking out the interface. I think there's more, but it's really up to BTS to fix and make it work.
Anything else on BTS at this point?
Can I just kind of like sum up, make sure I
Sure.
understand this correctly? Overall, when I asked about the Verizon cell service, so even with the problems, it's still a better solution than
Then what
Verizon.
happened, they were on AT&T, and AT&T had some reconfiguration to get people off of their system, cost or whatever it was. So then he started trying T-Mobile, and that worked in 1 or 2 sites. And then he went mainly to Verizon, and Verizon just is not a good option for that technology in our area.
Right.
So at that point, we then said, let's
Right,
get
no, I
the fixed
remember, but like
wireless.
in hindsight, looking back, it's still a better solution
Yes,
than
it's a-
relying on the cell service.
The fixed
Okay,
wireless
that's
is a
what I just
better
wanted to make sure.
solution.
That's what I understood, I just wanted to confirm. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, we have service where we had no service, and we're achieving, in those areas, 25.3.
Okay, what's next? That's all for the updates. One thing, and I hadn't put it on the agenda because I forgot, we have the monthly, I'm sure Mr. Gill would be interested, who is going to present.
That was on the agenda.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I have no internet, so I don't remember what I put on the agenda when I sent it out. May 26th. Who would like to do May 26th? First, are you in country? Are you in the state, Gary?
And that's what I'm trying to decide. I think I can do it if no one else wants to do it. I'm here, yeah.
Put that down.
Okay,
He's here.
Gary is here.
Gary's here.
If I absolutely had to, I could, but my elderly
Understood.
in-laws are going to be here,
Okay,
so.
All else fails, I'll do it.
yeah, okay.
I'll be here. I'm always here now.
You may want to do it then, Michelle.
Pardon me?
You may want to do it anyway.
I will not say that on the public record. Of course, I would not want to.
Or it's starting to be-
Okay, thanks, Gary. And then we've got fallbacks, don't worry, I'll be
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to, I have a couple of slides to tie up where we are in as far as what's out there. So
Okay.
Glenn, if you have those too.
Where's my calendar?
You can see on your map, unfortunately you can't see up there, and you've seen this before, it's green, blue, and red. When I get the shape files, I'm going to just go to a street map so you can read it easier. But essentially, you can see the red dots in the eastern part of the county, particularly at the end of Fleets Bay Drive. 84 red dots, and they're the ones that aren't covered right now. Look at your monitor, you're going to
Yeah,
see it better on there.
We can't expand that.
And ideally, I'd like to have something similar to this and put it up either on ours or the Lancova site, where you can click the homes. This represents all of the unserved homes that we have in the county. It's a little over 3,000 homes. Ideally, you would click on a spot and say what you believe is your address, and you'd find out who's covered or who's covering you or not. I was hoping, I think I mentioned to everybody in an email, Virginia Tech, who is working with DHCD, they're their GIS mapping group, and they're putting in a broadband layer in the GIS map. You can access it. I think I sent you a link, but it's on the coalition website in case you guys want to take a look at it. It doesn't get granular. It's basically just shaded areas when you do it. And you can do a lot of different things. You can look at it just from a FCC perspective. You can look at it from the state of Virginia. And it really shows you the difference between you use the different mapping, because FCC, if you have one spot in that particular area, it's considered covered. In Virginia, that's not how they're doing it. And you can put different levels of accuracy for Virginia. I put 95% because I want to get it as accurate as possible when I was playing with it. But as I said, it's not granular enough for what most residents would like to know, because they want to know what's going on with their thing.
Right.
So the final point on this is I briefly talked to Glenn, but we need to go through a lot more details on how we might be able to get this onto the county or a separate GIS map so everybody has access to it. And it would be like looking up your county records, your things on your property, where you would type in your address and boom, some stuff comes up.
That'd be great to have.
Yeah, so that's ideally where we head to. Okay, so Glenn, the next slide. Okay, so how do we go ahead and get these remaining homes covered? Nicholas and I have talked to both Breezeline and APB, and of course they say they're interested. I don't know if they're writing up something as we speak or not. LECAP will work for a subset of these homes. And again, if you go to the DHCD website, LECAP still says will be updated in April, and it hasn't
Nope.
been updated yet. So I don't know the rules yet, but the ISPs should know the rules at this point of what's going to.
Gary, could you briefly describe what LECAP refers to?
LECAP is a state program that, when I initially read it, it said anybody that's making less than $90,000 total household income could get support for essentially the drops. So it may be a long drop or a short drop, but it's a recognition that internet is near someone within a mile or two, and that's one way of trying to get it. Now, it's interesting, they say no more than $133,000 net income, but that's based on, and again, the rules are not clear because they don't tell you exactly how that's calculated, but it depends on what, say like you're in a very rich neighborhood where your homes are valued at millions of dollars and you're X percentage below, you can get up to $133,000.
I didn't see that part.
So Gary, just to make certain for the record, that what LECAP will do is for somebody who falls within a certain financial status, if to receive broadband at their home, the installation would be, say, $2,000 to get the fiber to their home. They would be able to get that $2,000 essentially covered because they fall into a financial category that makes them eligible for government funding.
Right, I think I said that last part wrong. That $133,000 is just to qualify to get money to go ahead and do the line extension. I'm sorry, I misspoke in how I said that.
Okay, I just think that this is sounds like an excellent program that hopefully Lancaster County residents will really be able to take advantage of, because we are hearing stories about Breezeline or somebody willing to come to a home, but it'll be $2,000 to get the drop to their house. And obviously, if somebody was not in a financial situation to pay that $2,000, they wouldn't have broadband service. So LECAP may be an excellent solution once they work out the details and they roll out the program, which sounds like it's definitely coming. It's just a timing thing. Is that correct?
That is correct. And as I said, it may be underway. They're supposed to put out an RFI beforehand, DHCD, and I did not see that on their website. So my guess is it's not ready to go yet.
Who's the focal point in I'm sorry. Who's the focal point in DHCD for the LECAP program?
Who is Tammy's counterpart? Is it Caroline?
Caroline.
I think she is the thing. I'd have to go back and check.
Yeah.
But I
It
think.
might be my notes someplace when I can get back on.
Okay.
And Gary, when I read that information you sent, it seems as if the home owner could apply, but also like APB or Breezeline could apply.
It's
as
to me,
well.
My understanding
That's how I
is
interpreted it.
the ISP has to apply
Okay, the
for that
ISP
person.
applies, okay.
So I think the homeowner has to say, here's documentation of what my
They qualify, right.
financial, and then the ISP. It sounds like this ISP control,
Right.
and both APB and Breezeline said they're interested in participating in this.
And it's not just the drop to their house. That's what Sheree was saying, right? It would be
It could
getting
be a
it,
mi- it
like,
could be a mile or two.
down the road. And so if there are other homes in that same area that may not qualify financially, unless, but they're still being passed, then that should have, we should have
Should
some
help, too.
opportunity to help get it to
Absolutely.
those other people too, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's primarily for the drop though, right? So the Valley Grant is building it past, homes past, along the public roadway. And then if you have a really long driveway, you would have to pay a high non-recurring charge for them to do the installation, because it's a long, could be a mile drive, sometimes it's longer than mile driveways. So this would, pay for that and non-recurring charge for the installation cost.
That's
Okay.
the expensive part.
Yeah.
This actually dovetails nicely with what All Points Broadband Northern Neck is going to be offering people in the area covered by them, which is for the first 12 months, no matter how long your driveway is. You'll pay no more than $230
Yes.
for the installation. And so it's really important. I'm sure All Points Broadband will be making that clear in its marketing materials, but something that LCBA should be making clear to Lancaster residents that if you are in the APB area, it's important to sign up within the first 12 months because installation will be substantially less expensive.
We should probably put the LCAP program on the website. I mean,
The only reason I'm saying it's not officially defined
I know.
yet,
Well,
and
put
once
that-
it's defined, I have, then it's easier to go ahead
You
and,
have the rules, but now some people will hear about it, and others will get it second, third
okay.
hand.
We
But
can put a link to that page, actually.
Yeah, I would do that, and we can say that, all the rules and everything are not out there yet, but this is a program under consideration, something like that.
Okay.
Because
I'll-
they hear it second and third hand,
I understand.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Cassie, and it's something easy to put on the website that just tracks what DHCD,
DHCD,
how they
yeah.
describe LCAP, and then have a link to their page, but also just boil it down, make it simple for people who come to our website
Right.
to link to this.
But I think LCAP is going to get a subset. I don't, in other words, all of these 84 homes are not going to qualify.
No, it won't.
Okay. Then, Michelle, you brought up correctly foundational money, okay? It could be DuPont, it could be Three Rivers, there's a host of foundations out there that we can potentially tap into.
Yeah, do you think we should be reaching out to like DuPont now? Because it's been a while since we've
Yeah,
spoken
I
with
think
them.
it is to see if they're willing to do something
We're
like
just
that.
going to say, let's do DuPont.
Yeah.
I'll pull up his contact
Yeah.
information.
And we can do this for Three Rivers. This is the type of thing Three Rivers is also funding. And their grants are, their grants tend to be about 50,000. Just to give you an idea, whether DuPont, I think they said there were 5 communities and they had like $1.5 million a year.
Something like that.
So 300,000, this more than fits into what you need.
Other counties may decide if they want to tap into
To-
LCAP,
a-
and
absolutely.
they may go. So if we get back to DuPont, I can't even think of his name right now.
Mark something.
Mark Walker.
Yep.
I think it's Walker.
Yep.
Anyway, I'll get back to
Yeah.
you. We'll talk about it.
And that's good. It'd be great if you could follow up and see what he thinks of that. Talking to Tom Ennis, I'm trying to get him, there's slipperier than Teflon, but I'm trying to get him to commit to which of those 84 homes. He said, yeah, if we pass it, we'll cover them. And I'm going, so again, I'm looking, can we nibble away at these 84 to get
Yeah.
that lower and lower?
Well,
And
Gary, this is part of the new Valley Grant with Breezeline too, right?
yeah, absolutely. Some of this that's one solution. Either
Yeah, so
a fatty grant with Breezeline or APB. Anything we can whittle that down and get it done sooner.
Yeah.
okay? Because really, if you put in for VATI 2023, the best you're going to do is end of 2024 when they're installed. If we can get it with these current build-outs, the latest for the APB one is 2023. The current one is 2022, but I don't think we can get it added on
I
to
doubt
this
it.
one.
And there's too many other counties involved in that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the deadline for the 2023 VATI? I thought that was
They're
coming
just
up in.
they're just starting,
Okay.
and then I gotta look it up, but it's like August when the actual
So it's August.
proposal.
I was
I
thinking
think there's a letter of commitment in
Okay.
July where you're saying we are gonna submit something. And as Nicholas already said, Breezeline has already come to us and said they wanna do it that way. Again, APB says, yeah, we'll do it, but, that's sort of a, I don't know, give me a proposal first, and then we'll work on it.
Yeah, we're trying to find multiple solutions to this.
Yeah, and
Not
then,
relying on just one.
yeah, and then all ABB, I should have put Breezeline on these 84 parcels, we confirm with them, they need to do more than just a drop. So they're either building out or they're doing something, and they're trying to calculate, and they're trying to figure out how to finance it. So that's why VATI might be a potential solution for them. I think the foundational money is good. And then, I'm sorry I put ABB in there, I meant Breezeline. In 5, the crew cost, again, I'm just basing this on the ABB Breezeline 2021 VATI grant. It was $1,200 per home from the county that we spent. So if you do, if my math is good, that means it's about $100,800 for the 84 homes. So, Don, this may be an issue that eventually comes to the board. I would think that this would go through if it made sense. I like the idea of foundational support, mainly because it's unencumbered money. You don't have to worry about the restrictions we've been talking about of federal, state, and who's doing what on any of these.
And timing, too, could be quicker.
And I think it would be quicker, and
Yeah.
I think it's just an easier, cleaner way to go. And also, 100,000 is well within the financial reach of these foundations.
Right.
Okay, so it's pretty reasonable to go down that road.
And as this VATI finishes up in another county, if we could get the foundational and Breezeline wants to do this, we've got,
We don't have to worry about VATI then.
then we don't have to worry, and there's still